The only real God is the one that you believe in. Start looking for the God in others. And if you find you're tuning into a wave, well then I don't know much about the NC.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, friends.
Welcome into another episode of Spiritual Philosophy Chatter with the Joneses. I'm Danny Jones.
And I am Samantha Jones.
And this is episode 58.
58.
What is our topic?
This is Soulmates and Twin Flames.
Cool. This is a good one. I think we touched on it a little bit in episode 7, the laws of attraction, but not a lot.
Maybe a little. Yeah. But I honestly, before doing this research, didn't really know a whole lot myself. I mean, I knew the basics, but I learned a lot and was very confused, especially about twin flames. And so now I think I have a better understanding of it, and I'm looking forward to talking about what I've learned.
Cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear it.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, before we jump into that, you got something from last week you want to share?
You know what? This last week, since we let the last episode out, has been a very crazy, wild week. And I have talked to so many people that when I went back through my messages to try and figure out which ones I wanted to talk about, everything was so mixed up I couldn't even find the messages I wanted to talk about because there were so many of them. So I thought instead I wanted to share a little bit of some of these strange cases that I worked on this week.
Cool.
Because that's really what most of these messages were. But there was one in particular that stood out to us, both of us, is that we have a listener. I didn't ask if I could tell a story, so I'm not going to say her name. But one of her horses had a bowel obstruction.
Wow. And
for days we were waiting for the horse to poop. And he was fine. Like he wasn't in pain. And every time I check in with him, he would be perfectly fine and no problems. But she's telling me he could die at any minute. And I'm like, and then finally he did. Finally, he pooed. And, you never thought you'd be so excited for something like that. But it's just been one of those weeks. I had an aggressive bulldog. And this was another case that was hard for me. I've told you about a little bit already. You don't see that often, an aggressive bulldog. Yeah. But this dog was very badly abused when it was younger, and just has like a click, basically. It just kind of snaps. And so it was a rescue that contacted me, and they were hoping that they would be able to, that I might be able to shed some insight to the situation, because I was their last resort. And so I talked to the dog, and, I didn't really expect anything to come of it, because for me, what I saw when this dog attacks, it's such a snap, and it is so bad that I didn't see a way out of this. But as of today, the dog is acting happy. Wow. So we don't know what's going to happen with that. The only other option is to put the dog down. She can't adopt him out. So we're kind of in this limbo right now of what's going to happen with him. And I'm just hoping that he continues to listen, and that maybe I broke through. Yeah. So, yeah, that was another
big boy,
crazy
scary
one.
Looking,
Well,
with that thing on his face,
Oh, yeah. One of the pictures they sent, he has a mask on his face so that he doesn't bite. And I've seen those before. I actually had a German Shepherd that I worked with that had to wear one, but I've never seen a bulldog. I mean, they're not made for that. Their faces are so smushied, and they're usually such mellow dogs, but, things happen.
Yeah.
Something else that happened this week that I've talked about is that I've talked about Murphy on the show a lot. And Murphy is a black lab that I used to walk twice a day, Monday through Friday. And I had mentioned on the show that I knew I was going to go into just this work. I wasn't going to be doing pet sitting anymore. Right. And that I knew that one of the things that was going to happen was I was going to start to lose my daily customers. Well, Murphy was one of those that I thought was going to happen because of a move. And I've mentioned this a few times on the show. And then it ended up stopping because of the virus. Right. So now I find out actually that he's moving. So it kind of all like really interestingly interwove itself to back to what I originally thought.
You shared earlier, at least with me. I'm pretty sure you wrote it down in your journal.
I've shared about Murphy moving. Yeah. I've mentioned it on the show a few times too, that's what I thought was going to happen. Right. And then yesterday he messaged me about watching Murphy one day this week. And he said that he's going to move back.
Cool.
And I was like, well, there we go. That's the last client, the last pet sitting client that I had. So it's officially done. I'm done.
Congratulations. You manifested.
I did manifest it.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, to our listeners, that's why I tell you these things that are going on for us, is because I want you to watch us manifest and see how we're able to do these things. This last week, like I said, has not just been crazy cases I've worked on, but it's been the busiest week for me since I started my business doing medium and animal communication work.
Wow.
I've had like more readings in one day than I usually have all week. But this is what happens when you take that leap, when you show the universe that you're willing to risk it all, it will pay you back.
Yeah.
And that's what it's doing. And it's like, so anytime that I start to doubt myself that I made the wrong decision, I remember that.
Right.
Because I know I didn't.
Yeah.
So,
Good.
yay.
That's great.
So,
I love to hear that kind of stuff.
yeah. And I hope that I'll have more, because now I have a new stage that I'm working on, manifesting. So,
Yep.
but we'll get into that another time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yay.
Is that all
That's
for
it. I think, yeah. I
Awesome.
just wanted to share some of those crazy things that
Cool.
happened. And
Those are good.
Yeah.
All good stuff.
yeah.
All right. Well, then, episode 58
58.
Soulmates and Twin Flames.
Yeah. Okay, so one of the things that I didn't know, like I keep saying soulmates and twin flames, right? I thought that that's it. Well, I know you have a soul family, and we'll get into the differences between all these. But I thought that these were kind of different things. But really, soulmates is the big picture of it. And then within the soulmates, you have your soul family and soul group and twin flames. So those are the different things that we're going to talk about, what each of those are.
Cool.
But first I wanted to read, like I usually do, the definition. So this is from just a regular Webster's dictionary, and they're usually the most boring. But
Yeah.
that's, they're not supposed to be biased or whatever.
Right.
So let's see. A soulmate, a person ideally suited to another as a close friend or romantic partner. Not super exciting.
Nope.
This is number 2. A person whose soul has a strong connection to your soul. A little bit better. This one I liked. I took this off of an article on refinery.com. The article is 9 Signs You Found Your Soulmate. This says, a soulmate is someone that just gets you. It's a connection of the mind, a mutual respect, an unconditional love, and total understanding. It's about being yourself and knowing not only that person is following and understanding your thoughts, but is right there with you side by side.
Right. That's a good one.
That is a good one. And then I had a screenshot here that I took that I wanted to read this one as well. This says, when you meet that person, a person, one of your soulmates, let the connection, the relationship be what it is. It may be 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, 5 months, 5 years, a lifetime. Let it manifest itself the way it is meant to be. It has an organic destiny. This way it stays or it leaves. You will be softer from having been loved this authentically. Souls come into, return, open, and sweep through your life for a myriad of reasons. Let them be who and what they are meant to be. I like that.
I do.
That stuck out to me. And, it goes into more of the deeper things that we're going to talk about, too, but it really kind of hit home, that one.
Something I was thinking about with that is I've often found, and it's not just because it says it in this definition, which is true, that it doesn't have to necessarily be a romantic relationship, that the ones that are friends for me that I felt like are my soulmates, I've often found and heard this said before in society, that is, I feel like I've known you before.
Right.
Or I've known you my whole life, even if it's somebody you've met later and you've only known a year, 2, 3,
Right.
5 years or something like that. And you'll hear people make that statement because I believe it's true.
Yes.
I believe you do know each other before you came here. And that is essentially kind of the soul family that we've talked about.
Right.
This is kind of singling out somebody in the soul family that you're super connected
Right.
with. You love being around.
Right.
Their energy. and something else that you got into and you'll get into, they sort of make your other half the whole.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It's something that is a common misconception, if you ask me. I mean, obviously, this is not really, totally fact. This is what we feel, what we see,
Right.
But a lot of people believe that you can only have one soulmate. And I do not believe that at all.
Yeah,
you can have so many soulmates. And like I said, that is the big classification of groups anyways. So you can have multiple soulmates throughout your life. But I did ask our listeners how many of them believe that you only have one soulmate. And let's see, most 25% said they believe that you can have, or 75% said that they believe you can have more than one. So
I agree.
yeah, I definitely, that's what I feel. That's what I see. That's what makes sense.
I guess for me, I was thinking about this earlier. So you meet one of your soulmates. Let's say it's a romantic relationship. It's the one you marry. You fall in love and you marry. What makes that person through time and evolution no longer that to you?
Right.
Well, it kind of goes to, for me, with the old saying is you get out of it what you put into it.
Right.
So relationships and marriage are not necessarily easy all the time.
No.
They take work, but they take commitment to work.
Yes.
So if they're not being backed up by that commitment to work at it, then yes, it could fade away.
Right.
And for other reasons too, abuse, neglect, whatever, many reasons why it can no longer be that.
Absolutely.
So I think a lot of people feel like when that happens in their life, they're at the end.
Mm-hmm.
They're at the end of their rope. There's nobody else out there. Well, there is.
There is.
There's many. Will you meet them all? Not necessarily.
Right.
I don't agree, but I believe that there's matches to you. But there are ones that I feel like you, because they're in your soul family, you're almost meant to be involved with.
Right.
At some point in life. That life.
Yes, I agree. For me, the way that I think about things and the way that I see life has completely changed to where I see now that there is a reason for every person that comes into your life. Mm-hmm. There's a reason why they come into your life when they do.
Right.
It's all planned. It's all supposed to be this way. It's like your own personal little video game or choose your own adventure that you're going through. But these people that come into your lives that you think might just be a player that, is only coming in, for a minute, mm-hmm. that person could be a soulmate.
Yeah.
Because when we'll get into it, actually, that they will try and push you. Soulmates will try and push you. They're not here to make you comfortable. There's a lot more that goes into this than what I think we realize.
Yeah.
It's not just, I feel a strong connection to this person because I've known them in a former life. It's way deeper than that.
Yeah.
Way deeper.
Yeah.
So let's talk about soul family because you keep talking about it, mm-hmm. and I want to make sure our listeners know what that is. So your soul family, it's the spiritual equivalent to your birth family here on earth, but it also includes your friends. Those who gather around you in your life, not necessarily collected by blood or race, but by energy and essence. They bring unconditional love and support. So, okay. So let's talk about this in a family kind of way, okay? So we went to see Thomas John a while back, mm-hmm. Who's a famous medium, and during my reading from him, he said that my mother was a soulmate and asked if I connected on that, if I agreed with that. And for me at that moment, something happened because I had always looked at soulmates really as romantic partners. Mm-hmm. And when he said that, I was like, no, he's right. She is a soulmate. Mm-hmm. So your soul family is these people that are in your life, your mom, your dad, your grandparents, your husband, your ex-husband, your kids, mm-hmm. The families, your family, my ex-husband's family. This is my soul family.
Right.
These are the players. And because we reincarnate, these players are not always the same. So you have the same souls. So, for example, my mom and I are soulmates, but we're not romantic soulmates in this life.
Correct.
Were we romantic soulmates in another life? Very possibly. Absolutely.
Possible.
And you could have been my mother in a former life. Who knows?
Right.
It could weave in and out so much. but it's these same souls. It's that keep coming back together. It's
And there will be other lives that we
Yes.
interact with each other for the purpose of helping to teach and learn from each other the lessons that we need to do
right.
to kind of undo our karma,
That's right.
bad karma.
We have to learn from each other. And the challenges that we face in these lives, we're learning lessons together. So those people that are big players in our lives that we're learning lessons with, those are usually in our soul family, our friends too. And we'll get into it farther, but even people that come in, if there's a major change, they're
Right.
usually a part of your soul family. Just because they don't stick around doesn't mean that they're not in that.
Right.
Now, your soul group is a little bit different. Soul group is similar to your earthly friends, classmates, coworkers. These people usually come into your life during specific events, or they act as a catalyst for major life change. So we've played this role for people before. We've talked about it. People that have come into our lives, we've helped them with something, maybe a relationship coming together, whatever it may be,
Yeah.
and then they exit your life. They go on their way. And that's why. Because you come into each other's lives to help, to
Right.
bring people together, to introduce them to the rest of their
Right.
soul family that they don't know is their soul family yet,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
And what's interesting too is that it's not always quite clear as to exactly at that current moment as to why they did enter your life. You know,
Right.
that's part of the lesson learned too. And you know, I know we've had some people kind of come and go and thinking it might be for one reason,
Right.
when it ends up being for another.
Exactly.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it is, right? Like,
Yeah.
I was thinking about the difference between, like, okay, let's talk about people that maybe are your soul family compared to a soul group. I have a best friend, Allison, that I've known since I was 11 years old. Allison comes and goes. Like, she's always a normal staple in my life. Like, she's there, but we have, you know, our friendship, it grows, it, you know, fades, it grows, it fades. Those type of people to me are soulmates.
Right.
They're the people that have been with you from the beginning. It doesn't mean, or like a soul, that your soul family.
Right.
It doesn't mean that a member of your soul family can't come in later in life. But I tend to look at that soul family more as those people that you've spent the most time with and that come back to you and those
Yeah.
types of things, where, you know, a person in the soul group would be more like, you know, a coworker or somebody, or like what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard because I've been trying to like think this week, doing this research of who fits into what category, you know, who's the soul family and who's the soul group. And, you know, will I be surprised by what I see on the other side? Because I think I have it all figured out, but maybe I don't.
I think it's so complicated
It is.
in some way that we can wrap our heads around somewhat.
Yeah.
But the vastness of where this really can go when you start to take everything in consideration about the amazingness of the universe, and whether it be simultaneous time or
Right.
you know, different lives and all that, it's pretty vast. It leaves I like to think of it leaves a vast playground
Yes.
for us to explore and learn in.
Yes. And it's funny because sometimes the key players in your life that end up being the closest to you, you don't even see coming in. You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain that, but it's like, I don't know. Life just has this really weird way of throwing new people at you.
Yeah.
And new adventures.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's and it's kind of fun to try to crack, you know,
Yeah.
with you, because you often get messages and trying to crack these codes in advance, and usually I'm not right, but it's still fun.
It
you
is
know?
fun. It's not that you're not right. We got to,
Right.
you know, dig for the answers.
Right.
Something else about your soul group is that these are usually people working on the same life assignments as you. So their lives have complementary theme. So I feel like I've met a lot of other mediums and psychics during this part of my life, and those people would fit into this soul group. People
Yeah.
like Nisha, or there's a few other people that have come in. Now, one of my best friends, Chelsea, that I've also met through this, She to me comes off more as a part of my soul family because we have so much in common and there's such a strong connection
Yes.
that I feel like she's more in the soul family than in the soul group, even though I met her under these what would be considered to be a soul group type of classification.
Right.
See? Yeah. So again, you can play around with it.
Yeah, because I would say like Tim is that for me. It's somebody that's been in my life prominent and then not and then been prominent. You know what I mean? So
Right.
they come and go. Josh would be another great example.
Absolutely, soul family.
People
absolutely.
that there's just this unconditional love that we can give each other despite the crap that's happened.
Right.
You know, in life. We can move forward.
Yes.
And there's something to be said about that. That's not. I don't know if I could say I could do that with every single person in my life,
Right.
or that I've ever been in my life. So, but there are particulars, and I look closely at why is that?
Right. Here's something that's kind of hard to grasp. Sometimes your soulmates do you wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they are the ones that will hurt you the most.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because that's the arrangement that you made.
It's hard to understand that, but yeah, I think
It's very hard.
and I've been on both sides of that.
Yeah.
Both sides.
Oh yeah, I have too. And I still I have some family members that I think when I get to the other side, I'm going to be like, okay. I mean, I realize that that's how it goes, but just to think about that and then go, wait a minute, this person is in my soul family. You know, it's kind of mind blowing. And it makes you, once you realize that every person has a role in your life, you start to kind of calm down a little bit about those relationships and realize that they're going to play out the way that they're supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And that person, whatever it is that's going on with them in your life, that's because it's supposed to be going on. And you're supposed to be learning these lessons from each other.
Yeah.
So it's all like in that kind of soul contract, you know? So let's see. We're going to move on to twin flames. And this one is probably the most interesting and confusing. So I think for the rest of the episode, I'm just going to refer to soulmates that fit in the soul family and soul group as soulmates.
Okay.
So we have soulmates and twin flames so that we're not totally confused.
Okay.
So let's a little bit about twin flames. Also known as twin souls. They are literally the other half of your soul. So what happens is you decide you're going to come back here, but you decide you want to split into two separate people. You can do that. You can choose to be male and female and split half and half. I believe it's just male and female, but again, I'm not an expert on this. I'm just telling you what I've read, and there is so much contradictory stuff. But that's the difference between a soulmate and a twin flame. Is a soulmate it's a different soul. Same kind of energy, different soul. Twin flame, same soul, different people.
Right.
Understand? Not everybody will have a twin flame in every life. So when I'm reading these things about what a twin flame is if you're racking your brain, because honestly, I've done that too. I've gone through here and I'm like, I don't think that this is you because it doesn't fit.
Right.
I don't think that we're twin flames. We're not the same soul split. I don't believe that.
No. We're definitely two different.
Right. But I don't know if anybody fits into this for me. So if you feel like me and you're going through this and go, well, maybe I just don't have one, you probably don't.
Right.
Because there was no reason for your soul to split to come back into this life. If you have a twin flame, you will know it. If you meet somebody and you're like, oh, there's such this connection, and then next week you break up, that's not your twin flame.
No.
There is so much more to it. That's lust. You know what I mean? And it can be misconstrued as a soulmate or, a twin flame, but that's not it.
Right.
There's much more to it than that. So let me read you a little bit about this. There is a magnetic pull that keeps the twin flames together once they have found each other. So you can go your whole life searching for your twin flame too. And a lot of people say that they feel like they're not complete and like they're searching for something.
Right.
And sometimes it can end up be that you're searching for your twin flame.
Yeah, and sometimes it could be lust.
Yes. Well, yeah, absolutely. That's for sure.
I have to say, you can really confuse yourself if you're not careful.
Yes, that's a very large problem. And that's what I'm hoping some of this will break down, because I do see that a lot with people that are like, but this person's my twin flame.
Right.
Okay. Why? Oh, because I just want to be with them forever. Why? I don't know. I just do. So, okay, a little bit more. Let's see. Where was I? It's a divine union with a divine purpose. One soul splits into two, usually romantic. Each side is different sex. Okay, I've already said this. The relationship is usually very, very intense because since this is one soul, you're handling baggage from two different people because when you are now whole with the other person and you feel them all the time, there's so much there. There's so much intensity and so much baggage that most of the time twin flame relationships don't last. They just don't.
Right.
Signs that you have met your twin flame. Once you meet, your paths keep crossing. So you can't really seem to get out of each other's lives. Everything doesn't run smoothly. So it's not going to be, that's another thing is it's like, oh, it's been so great. And no, it's not meant to be like that with a twin flame. Your feelings will be so intense that they might scare you. Let's see. You are the same yet so different. You're yin and yang. But that can be a problem because if you're both short-tempered and stubborn, then you can't function together, which is why twin flames, if you have those same personality traits, you can't because you clash. Let's see. Overanalyzing the relationship. No matter what the other does, it always ends up being okay in your eyes. So, and I'm not telling you if you have somebody that beats you or treats you bad and you just accept it, that's your twin flame. But for whatever reason, that other person can't do any wrong. No matter what they do, it's like that you can accept it on a different level because you understand them on a different level, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. And when you're with them, you are bursting with energy. One of the ways to think of this, too, is like looking into a mirror. Your twin flame is a mirror reflection of you. So everything you see in you, you will also see in this person. They're you, basically.
Wow.
So let's see. The difference between a soulmate and a twin flame. It's really, like I said before, it's the same kind of energy, really. But the other half is just like you. It's in a twin flame, just like you.
Right.
Soulmate, the connection feels strong, but it's more mellow and stable. With a twin flame, the connection is strong, but it's very intense and difficult. Upon meeting your soulmate, you may feel an intense connection, but with your twin flame, it will be almost immediate recognition. You would see this person and be like, I know you. I know you. I've known you my whole life. Like that kind of intensity when you meet them. So soulmates, you always have a soul family and soulmates, but a twin flame is not guaranteed. Soulmate comes into your life when needed and may leave when they have fulfilled, but a twin flame never really leaves. There's a continuous, never-ending cycle.
It's funny because I'm thinking it, my terms of my own life, and I could see maybe my first marriage being a twin flame.
Yeah, I think you could. Yeah, my very first relationship, I could.
I see you more as a soulmate.
Yes, we're definitely soulmates. We're not twin flames. We're not the same person. We have a lot in common.
Right.
But we have a lot of differences too.
Right.
Definitely not. We're more soulmates. But yeah, I could see too, because the intensity of that relationship.
And the fact that it sort of forced me to look at myself.
Right.
Because some of that was things that I brought in myself, to the relationship.
Yes.
And then some of it is absorbed by osmosis, the other person's, stuff. So, but, obviously having a child together, that means we're kind of always connected.
Right. Yes. But you also look at the fact that you're talking about that this person would be the other half of your soul.
It's possible.
Right.
The reason I say is because it forced me to look at myself and change in my life.
But soulmates will also do that. Soulmates will very much come into your life and they can cause mass chaos and then leave as well.
Right.
It is very hard to set apart the classification, and you can see why now there might be a lot of people that are thinking, okay, well, this could fit into here. This could fit into here. But honestly, my gut feeling on it is if you sit with this and you have any doubt at all, if that person is your twin flame, they're not. that's why I say I don't think I have one, because I think that this would fit somewhat into my first relationship. The first time we saw each other, it was like there was that, not necessarily a romantic connection, but like I know you, and it's always been like that. But I don't think that he's the other half of me,
right?
Because we're very, very, very different people. Right. So I don't think that a soulmate. Yes, absolutely.
Right.
I've learned many, many lessons through him, many, and I'm sure I will continue because that's how life is. You know. But so that's something, really sit down and think about it. If you think that somebody is your twin flame, and just don't think about it on the level of like, well, the person I'm with now, I love them so much and so deeply, they have to be my twin flame. Really sit with it and think about it and be honest with yourself, because you're saying something really big. You're saying that your soul split into two.
Yeah.
I also had some things that came in this week when I had requested people share their stories with me about soulmates, that suggested we might have more than one twin flame. I do have a friend that this is all she does for work. I can't remember. She used the stage name, so I'm not going to say her name because I can't remember it. But I had to check with her and say, is it possible that you can have more than one? And she said, no, it's not possible. Your soul is not going to split like that.
Right.
It's not. Your soul's already split because some of you stays in heaven.
Yeah.
So you're just taking what's coming down here and splitting it again.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many people actually that happens with in every life. Like, I almost feel like it's just as common as twins.
Right. I mean, the truth is I guess we don't really know.
We don't.
So, and I start to think about that as terms of the power of the consciousness and kind of what we've asked your mom, like, can you be in multiple places? And she's essentially like, yes.
Yes.
So I don't want to limit the capacity of what we're talking about by saying, well, no, that's impossible.
Right.
Because I don't really know. But when you're bringing it up and I'm thinking in my own mind about twin flame and the possibility of my first marriage being that's possible.
Right.
Because you have to look at that other person and go, I left for a reason.
Right.
But when I left, that was the moment I decided to change. How I was going to change, I didn't know until I really met you.
Yeah.
And then realized how this change was going to happen.
Right.
It was the moment of deciding that I needed to change.
Right.
I needed to split away from that half.
Right.
To change.
Yeah, you make a few good points there. And I definitely see what you're talking about, because reflecting back on my first marriage now, when my ex-husband and I first started dating, one of the first things that I said to my mom when I got off the phone with him was, I just had a conversation with myself. I still don't feel that, because I did learn a lot, and I did see myself in him a lot, and I did change those things that I saw in him, like what you're saying. But at the same time, there was a level of intensity that was not there in that relationship.
Yeah.
I thought he was really cute the first time I saw him. It was a spark, but it wasn't that intensity that they're talking about.
Right.
And I feel like he's gone. Like with it says, they come and go. He's gone. He doesn't talk to me. He doesn't like me. So that's fine. And I don't think that that's ever going to change.
Right.
So I'm analyzing this so that our listeners can see it can fit into some, but I still don't feel like any of you are the other half of me. I feel like this is me. I'm here. I'm whole.
Right.
Soulmates, yes. And I think this is good too, to show people, because there's a lot of people that aren't like us, that they can't talk about relationship. It's a very uncomfortable thing for them to talk about with each other.
Yeah.
You and I have no secrets when it comes to our relationships. No. We know everything. Obviously not everything. We weren't there every minute, but there's no secrets.
Right.
So we can openly and freely talk about this. We understand that the people that we've been with in the past were put in our paths because they had to be. We're married before because that was the way our path was supposed to go. There's no jealousy here. We don't have that. So when you can look at that and you can see that our exes were there for a reason, we had those lives with them for a reason, and the other people, it's the same thing. It brings you down a little bit to a good spot where you feel more comfortable, I feel, because you don't have to really feel like, oh, well, maybe that was my soulmate and I left, and No, they're all soulmates.
Right.
All of these people, and that's hard. That's another concept, like I said, that's hard to grasp, because when you leave a marriage, especially if it's a really bad marriage, you might be like, I never want to see this person again ever. And then they're one of the first people you're probably going to see when you get to the other side, or you might be waiting for them when they come.
Right.
Because it's your soul family. These are your soulmates.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It's,
It's a wormhole too.
I look at, like as an analogy, I know that I've finally come to the realization that the reason I'm here is to learn. So I view this like almost, what's the library system?
Oh, the dot matrix? Is that what it was
No,
called?
when you go look through the
Dewey Decimal?
Yeah,
No,
the
am I
Dewey
on the right
Decimal
path?
thing,
Yeah.
when you used to, the old school
old
days.
fashioned, yeah.
When you'd have to go search for a book or something like that, you'd have to look through these cards.
Yeah.
And so I view my life kind of like as one of those files that you pull out, and there's all these categories, like indexes. And I realized that, okay, I'm here to learn. So all these categories, being it soulmates and, friendships and things like that, that if none of these people were here and I was just on this planet by myself, I would learn nothing, essentially.
Yes.
We learn from each other.
Yes.
And we teach each other without knowing. That's why we can pass on such bad traits to our children, because they're like little sponges.
Yes.
And they grow up to be mimicking you like a parrot in a cage almost. I hate to say it, but they will.
Yeah.
So yeah, I look at it that way, and I hit that kind of section and think, well, I know that I'm here to learn. So if I want to dive deeper into, well, what it is, who is it I'm supposed to learn from, and what is it I'm supposed to learn from, I can find these little categories, and sometimes they feel like wormholes.
Right.
That you're jumping into. Like, do I really want to analyze all this about my first marriage and my current marriage and my relationships with people? Well, you don't have to. You could just keep it sort of on the surface and humdrum. Or you can dig deeper and learn more about why these people, these souls that are in these bodies, are here to learn from and to teach you.
Right.
And you to do the same for them.
If you've ever noticed, like, if you date somebody and then you break up and there's things about that relationship that you should have learned from and you don't learn from them, they'll be presented to you in the next relationship until you learn from them. You need to, like you said, that's what this is about. It's not about, there are people that stay together forever, and your soulmates will come in different ways than just spouses. They'll come in as family or friends or whatever. So you're still going to have all of those other players. But I guess what my point here is that don't feel like pigeonholed because you're afraid that you're walking away from your one and only soulmate.
Exactly.
Like, if you're in a bad relationship, because I get that a lot with love readings that I do, that the women will be like, but this is a soulmate, my soulmate. Okay, yeah, but that doesn't mean that you're bound together forever.
No.
It means that person came into your life for whatever reasons, and now it's time for them to not be in your life anymore.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll come back, and maybe they won't. But whatever is meant to be will be.
That in itself can be your lesson.
Right.
Because I feel like, the way that I grew up as a child, there were certain things that I promised that I was going to do and not going to do when it came to my turn to be a parent. So when you get then into a marriage and you have a child, now you're dealing with two different opinions and ideals about what to do with this little human being that's going to mimic everything you do.
Right.
That's what scared me the most.
Yeah.
Was the mimicking and behaving in such a way that would be kind of detrimental to their life.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I had to look into those things.
You do.
And to decide something's not sitting right with me.
Yeah.
And was this walking away from my soulmate and my chance, my one and only chance to be with somebody, and have a wife and a family and all that. It was terrifying.
Absolutely. Change is one of our listeners, I'm not going to say her name, but she took the steps finally to leave a bad relationship. And it
Yes.
was like another one of those things this week that I was like, yes, finally, we've been working on this for like a year. And I definitely don't want to sound like the person to push somebody out of a relationship, because that's not what I'm doing. But if you come to me for love advice and you're in a bad relationship that I don't see is going to get better, I will try and push you out of it. Because people will stay in a bad spot because they don't see something better in the future.
Right.
They don't see the next soulmate. They don't, people a really huge rush too. This is something that I'm dealing with a lot right now, is that you have to realize with life and with your soulmates, these players are going to come into your life when they need to, when they're supposed to, not when you want them to. So even though we want it all right now, you can't have it right now.
No.
I did a reading for a guy this morning who has been single, in his opinion, for way too long, and he wants to be in a relationship right now. And I said, well, your soulmate, your next soulmate that's waiting for you or coming for you is still married. So you need to let her go through the process and let her get divorced. So he's dating somebody else right now he's not going to end up with. But he doesn't understand, well, why am I supposed to date this person if a couple of years down the line, this person's going to come into my life and I'm going to marry them? This is a very important part of your life, this relationship that you're not going to marry.
There's lessons to be learned about yourself.
Yes.
So that when you get to the one that you're supposed to be with, you hopefully have learned those lessons and you're not carrying in the same, your own personal baggage.
Right. Right.
That can just complicate things even more.
Absolutely.
That's what makes relationships complicated, because we're both individuals. We have our own, dreams, goals, traumas, things like that.
I'm not a relationship expert by any means, but I will tell you that opening my eyes to this whole picture, I see love differently. I see it, it's not what people think it is. Like, everybody just wants to be in love, and that it's hard work. It's not just supposed to be beautiful. It is hard work, but it also is about being you, and the person that you're with has to love you for you. And if they can't love you for you, then they're holding you back.
Yeah.
And you can't allow them to hold you back, because this is your life.
Right.
You have to be, there's so many things to be on the same page. I mean, I could go on and on and on about the things I've learned doing all these love readings, but just know that if you're searching for that soulmate, you will find your soulmate in a lot of different places, in a lot of different people. It doesn't have to be romantically at all. At all. My mom is a good example of that. And I talk about how my childhood wasn't great. And so when Thomas John said that we were soulmates and I started analyzing this, this was kind of one of the first moments where it opened my eyes that your soulmate does teach you very important lessons. And I can say that there is nobody in my life that has taught me more lessons than my mother, and not, basic life lessons.
Right.
I'm talking about the things that I needed to change about myself.
Yeah.
Things that I couldn't repeat. So our soulmates, they really have a much deeper level of involvement in our lives than we actually ever realize. It's not just somebody that you have a good time with, and it's somebody that is you're connected to them, whether it's for a year or for 50 years or your whole life, whatever it is. That person is probably somewhat a member of your soul family, soul group, a soulmate.
I agree.
Yeah. Let's see what else I have for you. So I did ask our listeners a couple of questions. I asked them if they have ever felt that someone besides a partner or a love interest was a soulmate, and 95% said yes. Something that we haven't talked about yet that was brought up in this was, can animals be your soulmates? I think that they can, because they're still in your soul family. And I truly believe that, I'm not saying like for people that have multiple animals throughout their lives that it's the same two souls coming back constantly. But I do believe that they reincarnate back to us. And because they reincarnate back to us, it just makes it logical that they're in our soul family.
Right.
Because if we weren't close to them like a soul family, why would they reincarnate back to us?
Right.
Make sense?
Yeah, I guess that very well could make a lot of sense in that. I know, like, for our dogs, I love them both very much, and I can see their individuality in each of them. But I do feel like I have a stronger connection with Zuma.
Zuma's a different soul.
He does. He just has a very strong,
Yes.
readable soul.
Yes.
Sabbath kind of is more closed.
Yes.
So, but he's very loving, and he still feels like my dog.
Yes.
But I just have a different connection with him.
Yes.
More similar to like what I would have with Marina.
Right. It's weird.
It's just really close, and I
Yeah.
kind of can read you by looking at you.
If there was ever an animal that I thought could possibly have been a person in some life, it would probably be him, because he is just he's such a part of this family.
I don't think he's
not that Sabbath's not. It's just
Right.
weird. His soul is so unique.
I still believe they're different energies, so they wouldn't ever be a human.
Right.
But that is sort of irregardless when you
Right.
get to the other side. They're just an energy.
Exactly.
They're a different type, but they're in your soul family.
Exactly. So if you feel like you have that kind of soul connection to them, you do.
Yeah.
Absolutely, you do. Yep. So I think they can be soulmates.
Yeah.
A couple of things that I found interesting while doing my research is it says to don't go looking for your soulmates or twin flames. The more you search, the more they'll elude you. These people will come into your life when they're supposed to, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go seeking them, you'll find them. But if you're seeking too hard, that's when things don't happen.
Right.
It's when you let the universe take over and show you where you're supposed to go and what you're supposed to do.
And when you look back, you'll kind of find how they came into your life.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, just totally weird, but sort of has this irony about it.
Yeah.
Like, wow, I could totally see why they came into my life.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, like with our relationship, because when we first met, we were with our first spouses. We weren't married to them yet, but we were dating them. And so for me, it wasn't even something that I thought about. Not like, I'm not saying I wasn't attracted to you. I just never even thought about it. It wasn't, so I don't know if I've told our listeners this, but I went to a psychic that told me I was going to end up with somebody I already knew. And I went through the list in my head of who it could be, and never once did I think it was going to be Danny Jones. And then we reconnected on a dating site. And so it's so funny how your stories just kind of seem to fit together. And I feel like with your soulmates, more with your soul family, that's the type of thing that happens.
Right.
So then I've asked myself many times, like, well, what if I would have known at that point, if I would have been a psychic and I would have been told at that point that you and I were going to end up
search me down.
Well, not necessarily
Stalker.
search you down, but like, let's say that like the first time that I met you, I would have had that psychic flash of this is somebody you're going to marry. What would I have done with that? Would I have tried to pursue you at that
too
point?
hard?
Right.
Yeah.
So this is one reason why, even as a psychic, I'm not usually told these kinds of things. You have to go with the universe and what they're showing you. They want you to listen to them. They don't want you to, it's to all be, well, here you go. Here's what. But I also truly believe that it wasn't good information to have at that point, because we both needed to experience our first marriages. You needed to have Marina, and I needed to experience what I did. It was just the way it was supposed to go. So even though sometimes I look back at that and I'm like, wow, we might have been able to spend more of our life together, I realized that this is the way it was supposed to go.
Yeah.
And we came back into each other's lives at the right time. It wouldn't have been the right time then.
No.
So you have to look at these two things when you're talking about soulmates too, is that they will come to you.
Yeah.
They will. He came to me. I didn't go searching for you.
No.
Actually, when I saw your picture come up on the dating site, I was like, oh boy, I wonder if he knows that we're divorced, because Eric. I was like, I wonder if they've talked and he knows that we're divorced. And I wasn't gonna reach out to you, and it was so you sometimes you just have to take that leap and trust. You have to trust that the universe knows what it's doing.
Yeah, because I would say even the first date we had, I didn't feel awkward because I knew you, but even when I knew you, you were very shy, so I didn't know you really. I just knew you. Right. I knew about you and somewhat, I knew your name. We would speak, but it's so nice to like sort of. I mean, I thought, oh, she's cute, when they're introduced me, like, oh, he's right on, Eric, he's cute. But you were just so kind of shy, and I guess I felt really loud and talkative around you, you know?
Yeah.
But now, fast forwarding and seeing just, you know, how life and how we evolve and how you've grown and changed, you know, you still have that quality about you, but you're not nearly...
Right.
You're so much more secure in who you are.
Yeah.
You know, which is, it's nice. It's beautiful to see that growth.
Yeah,
you know?
That's it. I mean, really, at that point, we probably wouldn't have been attracted to each other or good together. It had to be when we were older. And I never would have thought, like, when we met, that you were one of my soulmates. But that's how life works.
Yeah.
You just have to trust.
Yeah. And I wasn't really, I mean, I knew I wanted to settle down again. I wanted somebody in my life permanent.
Yeah.
I didn't know who it would be.
Yeah.
I just asked for what would be best for me and Marina, and that's what I got.
And you know what? Wherever you're meant to be, the universe will show you.
Yeah.
It really will, because when Danny and I started dating, I was dating somebody else too. We both were. But there was a decision that had to be made for me, like which one was where was I going to go? Mm-hmm. And with the other guy, there was never a time where I felt like this is a soulmate. This is somebody that I can see a future with. There was a way different feeling. And there were so many things that made me see that clearly. And there was one thing that it was talking in here about how you like look past the faults. You could do no wrong, because I saw that there was a future for us. Do you know what I mean? It was like I looked past that and I saw that we had this soul connection, where with the other guy I was dating, there wasn't that. There wasn't that feeling. There wasn't, you know, so there's definitely that feeling inside, I believe, when you meet somebody that's in your soul family like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's, you know, soul group, people that are minor players in your life, it might feel very different than that, but people will come into your life and leave and be a soulmate.
Yeah.
They will.
I agree.
Or they'll stay and be a soulmate. Either way.
Yeah. That's why we're here. Our souls connect. We have to walk around in these gravity suits, and that part kind of sucks sometimes, but
right.
But ultimately, yeah, everybody that I've come in contact with in my life, I've learned something, or I'm learning something from them.
Yes, absolutely. That's what it's about.
My focus isn't so much to teach them. They're going to get that on their own. They'll learn something from me, whether it's my mistake or my victory. It's with every action, there's a reaction. And so it's the same thing with each of us. We're all giving off this energy that affects one another.
Yes, absolutely. Totally agree. One last thing that I have for you is just a fun little list here of movies that are about soulmates.
Oh, cool.
That I thought might be fun for some people to watch if you're looking for something to do if you're still at home, because there are lots of places still at home.
Nice.
Let's see, a few of these. The Notebook. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Makes me cry every time.
Oh, yeah.
Every time. Chances Are, that was one of my mom's favorites. I highly suggest it. It's about reincarnation as well. So, Kate and Leopold. I never saw that one.
No.
That was put into the Twin Flame category for those of you that have seen it. Serendipity.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, that, what's his name? John Cusack.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I believe. That's also classified as a Twin Flame movie. Ghost.
Yep.
What Dreams May Come. Casablanca. Here's a good one. When Harry Met Sally. Because they're constantly in and out of each other's lives. And that could maybe be considered a twin flame.
That was a good movie.
Yeah. The one that got me the most, probably besides The Notebook, is A Walk to Remember. You ever seen this one?
Can't say I have.
Oh, it's so good. What's Mandy Moore? She plays this very religious girl that has leukemia, and this guy that she falls in love with is like a bad boy, and he falls in love with her and doesn't know she's sick. And oh my gosh, it's the best. Boy. So if you haven't seen that one, it's really good. It will pull on your heartstrings.
Cool.
But these are all some good movies to watch on the subject of soulmates.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks for the tips.
Yeah. That's what I got for you.
Nice. Well, good job.
Thanks. I hope that wasn't too confusing.
Yeah.
Especially with the Twin Flames. And there's really is so much information, and it's like really, like I said, this isn't fact. There's no scientific proof.
Right.
So you're getting people's opinions.
Yeah.
So I just read people's opinions, and then with my abilities, I just try and figure out what's actually the right thing, basically. Right. So
cool. It's all interesting. I love to just wrap my head around things, even if I don't completely understand it all. But
things that you never even thought about before.
I can almost feel truth more than I can understand it in certain things.
Yes.
So I just have to go with what feels right.
Yes. I totally understand that. Agree. Yeah.
Cool.
Yay.
Well, good job.
Yeah.
And we hope everybody enjoyed it.
Yes.
Well, before we say goodbye, do you want to share your page?
Sure. So let's see. My website is SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com, and you can find everything you need to know about me there. If you would like a reading from me instantly, sometimes you can find me on Kasamba.
Mm-hmm.
Medium Sammy J is my screen name there, or you can send me a message and I'll do a private reading for you. Either way, I'm all over the place.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. Woman about town. Sweet.
And you, sir.
Oh, thank you. Me, if you like art, djonesartcollection.com for the web, at djonesartcollection for Instagram and Facebook, and the band gypsybrown.com for the web, at Gypsy Brown Band for Facebook, and at Gypsy Brown Music for Instagram. We just started tracking drums last Thursday, so we got 2 songs in the can with Mr. McMilo, Dr. McMilo. Did a wonderful job. Everybody did a wonderful job, but we just got the drums for the 2 songs, so we're excited.
Yes.
We figured, well, no live gigs. We're going to start recording. It was time anyways.
Yeah. And
after this little COVID thing, we're easing it back into it slowly, but
no live shows for
no. We're
now,
going to
so,
think about doing a live Facebook social distancing thing. We'll throw a set up there in a little while, but that's not the super focus right now. It's just to get some music out there, share with people, so when it does come time to play really live, people will know a little bit more about what we're doing.
Very excited.
So I'm excited. We're all excited.
Me too.
So that's it for me.
Yep.
Well, we hope everybody enjoyed this week's episode.
Yep, and stay safe out there this weekend. It's the first weekend that a lot of places are open, and it's Memorial Weekend, so be smart.
Yeah, just ease into it. If you see masses, then just go somewhere else.
Yeah, there's plenty of other things to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely stay safe, stay healthy, have a wonderful week, and until next week, peace and love.